So if you're anything like me, you probably struggled with brain fog your whole life, right? You felt like you've just never been able to concentrate on anything. You've always felt so unmotivated, so driven to do anything. I felt like for the longest time, I just wasn't able to articulate my thoughts into actions, right? I've always felt like I've had these goals where there were certain things that I would want to do. And a lot of the times they'd come at like 2 a.m., like those 2 a.m. motivation where it's like middle of the night and you just get this huge burst of motivation. You're like, tomorrow morning, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to do everything I've ever wanted to do in life. I'm going to do this, that. But I never had the mental energy to actually start taking action on those things. And at that point, that's really when I started to do a lot of research. I wanted to develop myself. I wanted to make myself better and really focus on how can I start to achieve greatness? How can I do things that are going to allow me to be able to do some of the things that I've always wanted to do in life? Like I've always really wanted to be somebody that's successful, that's somebody people look up to, somebody people respect. And I knew the first thing that I needed to do was really just to work internally, develop my own skills. And so the first thing I did a whole bunch of reading, I did a lot of research, and I scoured the web to try to figure out sort of what was wrong with me. Why wasn't I able to concentrate? Why did I always feel so tired, so unmotivated, so just, not willing to do anything? I really just wanted to lay in bed or play video games. And I remember just having all of these thoughts about all of the different things I wanted to do in life and all the goals that I had. And I would set those goals, but I never actually took action on any of them. And I couldn't understand why. Why wasn't I able to do the things that I had promised myself? I would sit there and plan out all of these different things. I had all these tasks and all these dreams that I wanted to accomplish. But when it took time to actually take action on those things, I always felt like this was so much work. Like I just couldn't sit down and think through what exactly do I need to do to achieve these goals. Like my brain just felt so clouded. And like how you can start to articulate your thoughts, how you can have more mental clarity, how you can be more motivated and just not feel like shit all the time. Got to a point where I really just didn't want to live like this anymore. I wanted to make a change. So when I started reading and learning about all of these different techniques and ways that you can start to reduce this brain fog and get more mental clarity, it really opened a new pathway for me. I started to see this new version of myself come out where, I was much more productive. I did everything that I wanted to do in life. I wanted to really excel in my career. I wanted to do a lot of side projects. And so just being able to learn some of these basic things has really helped me start to be more productive. I feel like now I can work all day long, or I feel like I have the mental capacity or the mental energy to do a lot of these boring tasks, that used to feel like these huge burdens to me, but now I feel like I'm able to actually do them. We live in a world where there's just so much information out there, and our brain is constantly absorbing all of this information from our phone to just going outside. There's just so much information out there that your brain is constantly picking up. Every day, each of us process about 100,000 words. And I want you guys to just think about that for a second. 100,000 words is the amount of information that you're processing every day. And this could be from email, from the TikToks you're watching, from Instagram, from the notifications you're getting on phone. That's a lot of information that your brain has to absorb and keep in their mind. One thing I discovered was that when we're processing all of this information in our brain, it actually makes us really tired. We're having this information overload. It starts to deplete some of those essential resources. And then that's really where we start to see that fatigue come in, right? Every day, there's so many decisions you have to make, right? Some of them are important, some of them are not important. So, for example, when you wake up in the morning, okay, am I going to go on my phone? Am I going to get out of bed? Am I going to put socks on? A lot of unimportant decisions, but then there's also important decisions like, am I going to go into work today? How am I going to get there? Or even when you're at work, there's decisions that you need to make. And so when our brain reaches that limit of, they just can't process information as well anymore. And that's really when you start to make bad decisions. That's typically why, towards the end of the day, when you're coming home from work, you're exhausted, you'll scroll through Instagram instead of reading that book that you wanted to, or you'll go on a shopping spree. You're on Amazon, you're buying a couple things that you really don't need instead of saving your money. A lot of that has to do with information overload, right? You're just taking in so much information. You've already made so many decisions that you really didn't need to make. So a lot of small decisions, and by the end of the day, you're exhausted. Your mental capacity is just not at the same level, and you end up making a lot of bad decisions. So here are sort of 5 things that have really allowed me to declutter my mind and be able to think more clearly, and just not have brain fog all throughout the day. And these 5 things I've really started to implement in my daily life, and I've found that it makes a huge difference on just the amount of work I can get done. I never really thought that I could get so much done in one day, but once my mind started to clear up, and I was able to think clearly, I sort of unlocked this new version of myself, right? I sort of unlocked my potential, and I just feel like so much more productive now. And I want you guys to feel the same way. So I'm going to share these things with you. And if you have any questions about any of the things that I'm going over, definitely leave them in the comment section. I'm happy to answer them for you. The number one thing that I would recommend you guys start implementing is lowering your screen time. So don't go on your phone the first thing in the morning. And this was something that I sort of struggled with too. I definitely remember, like, there was a time where I would wake up every single morning, and the first thing I'm doing is looking at my phone, looking at all the notifications I have. But those sort of short term dopamine hits that you get from watching TikTok, Instagram Reels first thing in the morning really cause you to start your day in a really negative tone, in terms of the information that's already in your brain. You're overloading your brain the second you're waking up. So what I would recommend is that drink some water, go outside, get some fresh air, go on a walk your dog if you have one. Just take some time to be alone in your thoughts, right? Think through what it is that you want to get done today. What do you want to accomplish? What are important things that you are looking forward to during the day? Number 2 would be to use brain extenders. Now, what are brain extenders? They're ways for you to transfer the thoughts and the tasks that you have in your mind, and transfer them on into a digital device. So this can be like a calendar app, any sort of app that allows you to create to-do lists. Because when you transfer the things that you're thinking and the things that you need to get done onto an actual physical device, it allows your brain to not have to store that information, and you're not constantly worrying about that all day long. You're able to free up your mind, and it's free up some space in your mind by writing it out. And you want to try to reduce the mental burden on your brain, right? The human brain is really good at storing information, but it's not good at retrieving information. And so the other thing with this is to writing down things also saves you the mental stress of trying to make sure that you remember to do those things, right? If you can write it down on a to-do list, then just look over it, throughout the day. It just makes it easier for your brain to focus on other things and not have to constantly remind you that, oh, you have to go pick up this person, or this is something that you need to get done. It frees up that mind, and makes your mind less stressed, and allows you to focus on things that are more important. It's just something that's helped me a lot too, is if I can make a to-do list of all the things that I need to get done, I feel like I'm more likely to actually get those things done. And, with that sort of the focus aspect, I do feel like I focus a lot better when I have a to-do list, just because if that's something that I still need to do, have I done it? Have I not? And like, it's just constantly coming back into my head. And I just keep thinking about, okay, like, I can't forget about this. I need to do this. And then that just messes up my focus throughout the day. So when I write it down to-do list, it just sort of makes it much more simpler, and it reduces the stress on my brain. I'm going to tell you guys, there's no such thing as multitasking. People that say that they're good at multitasking, or they say that they can do like multiple things at once, they can't. All they're doing is just switching from one task to another really fast, right? They're not multitasking. They're doing one task, and then they're switching their focus, and they're doing something else. The reality is that our attention span is very limited. We can only focus on one thing at a time. So when we're constantly switching from one thing to another, back and forth, puts a lot of strain on our mind, and it basically forces our brain to utilize a lot more resources, right? A lot more oxygen, glucose, a lot of the essential resources that our body needs. It starts to burn through them when we're multitasking, when we're focusing on different things, and we're constantly switching over. And that really just makes you much more tired throughout the day. I would recommend that you guys don't multitask. Just focus on one thing at a time. And once you've done that, then you can transition over. But just try not to multitask and think that you're good at multitasking, because You might be good at really just switching back and forth between tasks, but that's going to drain you really, really fast. And when you're multitasking, you're making a lot of decisions too. So going back into that decision overload, you're thinking about, okay, am I going to reply back to this email? Am I going to do this? Am I going to do that? How do I respond? How do I file? Do I need to file this email? Do I need to keep working on this? Should I go back to this? So you're going back and forth, and your brain is just making so many decisions while you're multitasking, and it's just not worth it. I'm telling you guys from personal experience, like when you're focusing on one thing at a time, it just makes it so much easier to get that one thing done instead of multitasking. So this was something that I struggled with a lot, trying to not multitask. I always thought that I was really good at multitasking, and I found out that once I've started to just focus on one thing at a time, I've had more energy throughout the day. I felt like I was able to complete tasks a lot faster and with much more quality too. So not only does multitasking just drain your mind, but it also decreases the quality of content or the quality of work that you're doing. When you're focusing on one thing at a time, it makes it much easier for you to enhance your cognitive abilities, right? You're able to think more clearly about that certain task because that's the only thing that you're focused on. You're not thinking about anything else. You're just locked in, super focused on that one specific task. And when you're focused on that, it just allows you to do that task much more efficiently. And once you've finished it, you still have a lot more energy left, right? When you're multitasking, it just completely drains your energy. When your environment is organized, it makes it much more easier for your brain to process information, right? Right. So think about like the last time that you cleaned your room or you organized your desk or your kitchen. I'm sure you felt good afterwards, right? You felt so productive. You feel like, okay, like, oh my God, I'm awesome. I can't believe I just did that. Whenever I like organize my desk, my room, I just feel really good about myself. And when I'm working for like that time period where my desk and everything is super organized, I feel really productive and I feel like I know exactly where it is. And for some reason, my brain is just working, right? It's able to think more clearly when everything around me is organized. So our mind likes organization. It likes to have categories because it just sort of offloads some of the processing that goes on when you're trying to find things. So for example, let's say you just got an email from a friend or a colleague and they're asking for a certain document, and now because your files are like super organized, you know exactly where that document is. You're going to your folder, you're going like into 3 4 folders, you have different categories, everything is organized in a way that you remember, you understand, and you're instantly able to find that document. Whereas if it wasn't organized and you get asked that question of that finding that document and you're going through all of these different folders and you don't understand where everything is, it puts a huge burden on your brain to try to figure out and retrieve where did I put that information. And so the whole point of this is really just to make sure that whatever you're doing in your day is making it less complicated for your brain. So you want to really make it as easy as possible for your brain to do certain tasks because our brain has a very limited capacity, and so the easier that we make things for our brain, the more our brain can do. For let's say you just organize your kitchen and you're getting ready to cook and you need your pot, you need your pan, you need your spatula, spoons, you need a thermometer, you need a bunch of different equipment. If you know exactly where everything is, you have everything in categories, you have it organized, it's much easier for your brain, or you feel more motivated to actually go and get that done because you know it's not going to take that long. You know everything is, you're gathering everything. Whereas, let's say you are, you don't know where everything is sort of cluttered. You just have things in random places, or you had it organized at one point, but now it's not organized. It just makes it really hard for you to find the motivation to actually cook something. So, sort of situations come up. That's where maybe the first time you might look for it and you still don't want to organize. The next time you're thinking about making a healthy meal, you're going to remember that, oh my God, I still haven't been able to find that thermometer or that spatula. It's just easier for you to be like, okay, like I'm just going to DoorDash something, right? But if you know where everything is within your kitchen, it just makes it much more easier for our brain to want to do those tasks, right? It's easier for us. Just making things easier for your brain is how you're going to sort of get rid of that brain fog. Usually sort of organized environment helps keep our brain more focused. It sort of just, it simplifies your life and it just makes it easier for you to do important things. And this is probably one of the more obvious ones, but making sure that you're getting a good amount of sleep, you're eating quality foods, and you're exercising. And it doesn't have to be every day, but just you have to exercise at least 2 to 3 times a week. So you want to make sure that you're not sacrificing your sleep. You need to get at least 7 to 8 hours of good quality sleep. Try to not go on your phone for at least an hour before you sleep and just sort of lay in bed, sit in the darkness, go to sleep. Don't go on your phone once you're in bed. You want to try to make your bed a phone free zone. That's what I'm trying to do right now. But once you're in bed, just don't go on your phone. And this will help you just get the rest that your body needs. Your mind will just be able to get a better quality of sleep if it's not hit with dopamine, hit with all of this information, even at the end of the day as you're going to sleep. And not going on your phone also will help you to fall asleep much easier. So an important one, you want to make sure that you're not eating a lot of processed foods. Try to stay away from lots of sugars, lots of super like chips and processed foods, because those aren't really good for you. I'm not saying cut them off completely. Obviously, you can eat them, but just in moderation. Try not to overeat on those. Try to do a lot more home cooked meals. Try to focus more on fruits, vegetables, protein sources, and you can still eat out and stuff. I still do, but I just try to focus more on and getting a lot more nutrients from my foods. And the other big thing is make sure you drink a lot of water. Water is super important. It's probably one of the most important things that we can do. I mean, exercising has so many benefits, and you guys already know this. There's so many benefits when it comes to just for the body, but even for the mind. You get better quality of sleep. You really, if you're just exercising, you'll start to notice that you're able to think more clearly. Your brain fog goes away, and a lot of that has to do with exercising. Ever since I started lifting 3 to 5 times a week, it's been almost 2 years since I've lifted, or I've been lifting consistently, and I've noticed a huge difference in terms of just the amount of productivity that I have every day. Thinking back to when I didn't go to the gym, and the difference is just huge. And it's not even, there's so many benefits that come with just exercising. And so, just to recap, you guys aren't alone in this. I've gone through this very similar experience with the brain fog, and I'm hoping some of the things that I went over today provided you value. But, just to sort of recap, make sure you guys don't go on your phone, especially first in the morning. Try to lower your screen time. Use brain extenders, so decrease that burden on your brain. Stop multitasking. You definitely don't want to multitask. Focus on one thing at a time, and organize your environment. Create those categories. Make it easy for your brain to find the things that it needs to get certain tasks done. And lastly, what I just mentioned, focus on sleep, your diet, exercising, and exercising is huge. If you guys don't have a gym membership right now, I would go tomorrow or even today, end this video right now and go get a gym membership. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I know I talked a lot, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video, enjoyed the content. And if there's anything else that you're struggling with, or you would want me to make content about, definitely let me know. And I will see you guys in the next video.